Hi everybody and welcome to this Grace Note. I am Grace Kelly and I'm going to speak to those of you today that are feeling like business and life is a struggle. If you've been striving a lot, if you've been feeling like there's not enough of the success pie to go around for you, if you've been feeling competitive, if you've been getting lost in overwhelm, and basically just feeling like getting your business going is a struggle, then I hope that my journey and my personal story here will really help you. So this is the first time that I'm really publicly sharing this aspect of my story, and it's been calling me for some time to share. And I'd like to delve in on that today because it's in this sharing that I feel you really hear something for yourself. So I'm not going to teach you any techniques today. I'm not going to teach you any tactics. I'm going to share with you an experience that I ask you to listen to and find whatever's true for you. And then just see where that lands, see what speaks to you, see what stands out for you. So for those of you that don't know me and don't know this aspect of my journey, I created rapid success in my coaching business in the first year. In fact, within the first 6 months of my business, I was generating a 6-figure salary and I was beginning to travel the world. And within a year and a half, I had crossed the $250,000 line. And life was really luxurious. I was traveling first class to see clients in different parts of the world, everywhere from London to Rome to New York to Saint-Tropez to Los Angeles to Sydney. And I was really living a high life. I had the best experiences in life. And that was what I chose to spend my money on. That was something that had always appealed to me. And it was something that I decided to go for. So it was very successful very quickly. And that success continued to grow. And I was loving what I was doing. I was no longer a school teacher, broken, burnt out and spending money on recovering my health. Now I was in the coaching industry and I was really enjoying helping people and working with incredible souls. And at the time, despite all of that external greatness, I felt something was off. Over the time that I was experiencing all of that great success, I noticed that I was feeling tired again. And I also noticed that I was constantly comparing myself to my colleagues, to my idols, to the people around me. I was in an environment that was highly competitive and competition was fostered. And I found it difficult because I noticed that I was constantly evaluating myself compared to my colleagues, compared to others, and just never quite measuring up. So something was off for me, and frankly, the turning point came when I was faced with a decision to stay in the environment and on the merry-go-round that I had been enjoying and creating success in, or step away and go off on my own. And my soul literally was calling me to step away, step away, step away. And it was so scary at the time because at the time I was attributing a lot of my success to being in the right program, to having the right mentors, to wearing the right clothes and having the right bags and shoes. Like I really, really had attributed a lot of my success to the external. So what I was being called to do was not easy for me. I was afraid of losing all momentum. But as wisdom has it, you know yourself, when you get that call, it's very hard to ignore. And so I did the unthinkable, and whilst my colleagues were continuing to engage and sort of continuing to generate massive success, I stepped away. And initially I retreated for a while. You know, it took me a while to come back home to center. You know, I lived in a state of constant engagement, a lot of learning, a lot of absorbing information, a lot of travel, and a lot of what I didn't see at the time as a feeling of self-consciousness and insecurity. And so it took me a while, you know, to recalibrate, let's say, but I followed that call, and something really interesting happened during that retreat time for me. I saw, perhaps for the first time in my existence, that I had really attributed my confidence to external success. I saw for the first time that I was living insecure, and I was operating from a very innocent but insecure place where I was striving to succeed, to create results, because I really was concerned with what people thought of me. And I had created this kind of what I now can see as a sort of a false confidence, because the confidence was very much dependent on me succeeding, on my mentors celebrating me, on me making a certain amount of money, and on what environment I was in. In seeing that was where I was operating from, something in me relaxed, because I recognized that this was insecure thought, that I was very innocently, like most of humanity, striving to achieve from a place of insecurity, not grace. And for whatever reason, becoming aware of that helped me physically relax. I remember that was the very first time that I felt my body physically relax and come back to center. So with that insight, I got curious. You know, I began to become curious about how to create and operate in a business and a world when it's not coming from an insecure place. And I won't lie, it was very scary for me. Like for what felt like a very long time, I felt myself in no man's land. My motivation was gone. My drive looked like it had died. My ambition was nowhere to be seen. I felt confused, actually. I was feeling free of this insecurity. I was feeling relaxed. I was feeling home. But I felt confused. I did not know how to create results in my business anymore, because this driving force that was initially there was gone. So for a period of time, I retreated, and I just remember living life. You know, I watched movies, I cooked new recipes, I, enjoyed my relationship, and I was just really living life, not quite knowing, what was next. The one thing I did know was that I could no longer help people in the way that I had been helping people before. So I knew something big had shifted, and that I was going to need to bring this deeper essence into my work. So I couldn't just help people around, setting up their new career or developing their coaching business and their strategy to 20K a month and, how to make more money. I knew now that unless people were grounded and coming from a place of true self, that their success would be short-lived or with a lot of struggle, like mine had been. I also knew that I absolutely knew that I could generate quite momentous results, but I only knew how to do that from that original place of fear and striving. So I was in this period of time finding a way to operate from grace, grace with a capital G, and create success in my business in a sustainable way. I didn't know that's what I was up to at the time, but looking back, I'm able to share with you today that, you know, I was transitioning and I was entering new territory where it became more and more obvious to me that the reason people weren't succeeding was not because they didn't have the correct marketing plan or the right mentor or they weren't in the correct environment. Was actually because they were constantly at the mercy of their own insecurities. And these insecurities were continuously taking people, you know, down, off track, if you like, making it a struggle for people to stay engaged or stay consistent. So during that period of time for me, I really was in a lot of uncertainty. What are people going to think of me? How am I going to bring this aspect into my already successful work? What if no one wants it? What if people don't see the value of it? I had all of these doubts going on, but again, I followed the wisdom that was calling me, and that was, at the time, to, follow my wisdom one step at a time. So I made a very bold move at one point, and because I just knew there was no turning back. And I made a bold move, and I kind of shared with people that were following me that, I was giving up everything I'd learned, and I was starting afresh. And I remember being so confident in that because I just knew something was going to change. But in no man's land, or what felt like no man's land, it was difficult to see ahead, to see what was going to be possible. And I really was in the question, how can I create a sustainable business with results from a more graceful place, from home, from center, and how can I operate and create in the world in a way that doesn't lead to me sacrificing myself or exhausting myself. So over time, something interesting occurred. I started just noticing that my true confidence, I call it our innate confidence, the piece of us that's always there. I started noticing that, it was playing out in my life because I was sharing with my audience more visibly. I began to come on camera here and speak, whereas before I had hidden behind perfect photo shoots and websites. I never wanted to quite show my full self. And I started sharing more, I guess, confidently, more naturally, what I'd been experiencing and what I'd been up to in those times. And of course it was scary. Of course I was wondering, would anyone be interested, and how was this relevant, and who would want to know? But interestingly, people began reaching out. People began contacting me, and I started drawing in a new type of clientele. I started drawing people to me in a different way. And up until that point, I really had attributed a lot of my success to having the perfect website, having the best marketing plans, knowing what to say, having the right mentor. I attributed everything externally. Now I was seeing that people were drawn to grace with a capital J, that people were curious about the shift in me and the direction I was going in. And without much attachment to outcome, I started sharing more of myself and more of that. And what happened as a result was quite interesting, really quite phenomenal, because before I had to put a lot of effort in and a lot of attention in and a lot of striving, a lot of struggle to create results. Now I was creating results as in clients coming forward, people wanting to go deeper with me, people wanting to come to Italy and join me on retreat, people wanting to take part in courses, people wanting to continue working with me when they were completed at some point. All of that was happening without much effort. You know, it was like a sort of a natural unfolding. And I literally built up a new client base from scratch that today has me creating great results, a sustainable business, generating as much as I had done in the past, but working in a new way, and doing it from a place of grace, a peaceful, grounded place. And I could not have predicted that. I could not have envisaged that transformation and that change of going from living insecure to being home in self and operating from our innate confidence. I could not have predicted the rapid and dramatic results that started to show up in my life. Now, it was not without any effort. I mean, I still have to do my marketing and have to write you emails and have to come on video here. But it's coming from a much easier place and a much nicer place where I get to do what I love and show up and share my story and journey with you. And so I want this to inspire those of you today that, you know, maybe you have something new you want to bring into your business, or something new you know is more you, or you want to birth it more. And for those of you that are just kind of like really afraid to step into whatever transition is ahead of you, you know, your soul's calling you to share a particular message or story or journey, your soul's calling you to, you know, offer something new in your work, or something that's been hugely transformative for you. I want this to inspire you today to, you know, follow that wisdom, to really connect with the truth of what you're seeing, and be available to bring that forth in yourself and to the world. You know, my big concern at the time was fear of losing my momentum. And that's so interesting to me now, because, you know, even that was an insecure place. This need to hold on and grip and keep up, as if momentum has anything to do with, you know, my small self, you know. I had no idea that the momentum I would start creating would be way more graceful, way deeper, and highly rewarding, you know, at the time. At the time, I could only see one way to create, and that was through struggle and striving and keeping up and being in the right place, and being in the right programs, and doing the right marketing and following the right techniques and building up the right mindset. It was so innocent, but so effortful. And I really believed it all at the time. It really looked like absolute truth to me. So I kept engaging the same behavior. And today, it's like there's such a freedom to simply showing up and sharing with you the experience, the journey, the insight that I've been through. And as I say to my clients, as we share that message, that truth, that message we know to be true, we've seen to be true, we draw people to us. People hear us, people connect with that. And so if you're like struggling and you're pushing and you're trying to keep up and you're afraid of losing momentum, or you're wondering how you measure up to your colleagues, or you're spending a lot of time trying to perfect your image, your website, your branding, your, whatever it is you're up to that feels off, I want this message to inspire you that a more graceful, easier way is possible. And it starts with getting beyond your insecurity. It starts with operating from self with a capital S. If I can help you in some way do that, like I do for my clients, feel free to get in touch. If you would like to explore that with me, email me today, grace@citygirlconfidence.com. I'm absolutely committed to helping people create sustainable success in their business. Anybody can do a flash in the pan. Anybody can create on and off results. Anybody can create incredible monetary income from a place of fear and insecurity. But those are all effortful ways of keeping yourself in the game. I am absolutely certain now that there's a more graceful way to create results in your world. There's a more connected way to draw people to you that does not involve you mastering more techniques and more plans and more content. So, if I can be of service in some way, if it's even just a conversation, reach out today. I'd love to speak with you. And overall, I just hope that this message and this story has touched something in you today. Has helped you see that that you can bring a new element into your work, that you can operate in a new way, and that even like me, you can start from scratch all over again if you have to. I'm not saying you have to, but if you have to, you can start in a new way, and in a way that is not going to cost you your well-being, your relationships. It's not going to cost you your true confidence. And when that is your new driving force, that place of service, that place of creating in a grounded way from your true essence, people can't fail to notice. People cannot not see that light. And there's so much hope in that, because it takes away the need for you, the small you, to get it right, to perfect the marketing and the images and everything. I'm not saying those things aren't important, but today I do those things because they're fun, not because I have to hide behind them, not because I have to master the language and the techniques. I do them because they're a fun element to the business and the brand that light me up, and they're a way to share with the world more of what we've got. And that's what I want for you. So I'd love to know what you're hearing in this message. Ping me an email if you want, comment below if you prefer, and I'm really wishing all of you more graceful success in your life, as opposed to striving and pushing and operating from a fearful place that eventually will just burn you out. Okay? Your true nature is what will carry you through, and it's right there waiting for you. Have a wonderful day, and I'll speak with you soon. Ciao!